guys, it's Quana. Welcome back to my channel. Happy Tuesday to you. Happy 1st of December. Um, Thank you so much for coming to my channel. I'm so glad you are here. And so as you can see by the title of this video, I'm going to be talking about the HBO series, original series, The Undoing, starring Nicole Kidman and Hugh Grant. But I am also going to be talking about another show that this one puts me in the mind of a lot, and that is Pretty Little Liars. Yes, the former ABC Family slash Freeform franchise it's based off of a YA book series, which I never read because it's not the kind of YA literature that I particularly read. But my niece got me hooked on the show, and as a grown black woman who this show was not made for, I fell in love with it. So I wanted to rant a little bit about both shows, but I wanted to talk about the series finale of The Undoing. Before we get started, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button so you can get more content. It is Tuesday night. Typically, I would have been doing This Is Us content, but they are on hiatus until January 5th. At which time I will resume my weekly This Is Us. But I am also going to be making some This Is Us kind of character analysis talks. So if you're interested in that, do me a favor and take the poll over here and tell me if you're interested in which characters you would be interested in finding out more information about. Aside from that, it's also December 1st, so happy 25 days of Christmas. And I'm going to be doing my Uncommon Christmas series soon, so be looking forward to that. But let's talk about The Undoing. That's why you're here. So spoilers for The Undoing. I'm sorry, it's the series finale. I'm going to be talking about the whole series and for Pretty Little Liars. Guys, Pretty Little Liars has been off the air now for like 3 years. Watch it. I'm sorry. So let's get started. So The Undoing, which I only started watching because Lovecraft ended and I needed something. And it took me a couple of tries to get into it. But it follows Nicole Kidman. And she plays this psychologist, like marriage psychologist named Grace Frazier. And she's married to a husband named Jonathan. And they have a son named Henry. And they are like New York WASPs type people, like, very high society. Her dad has a lot of money. I don't even know if we ever known like why her dad has a lot of money. He's just a rich white guy. And Hugh Grant's character, who's British, and we really don't know much about him. And then they got like a little American British kid. And they are living the life. She meets this woman named Elena at a school fundraiser for their rich hoity-toity, wealthy private school. And Elena is like weird. She's got her kid there. This part I don't like. At the first episode, they try to make it weird that she's breastfeeding her kid. And that's just not a thing we should be making weird. I mean, it's weird because she's weird. It's not weird that she's breastfeeding her kid. And it's like, really, in 2021, or 2020, I'm ready to be over this year. Can we just normalize like feeding babies, especially in a room full of other women? Like, they tried to make it like it was a weird thing that she pulled her boobie out. And I guess to them it would be weird. I didn't like that because obviously to me, as a regular person, Elena is playing a regular person, so she's who we sympathize with. But it's very hard when you find out what Elena is doing to sympathize with her. So don't give me reasons to sympathize with her and then snatch them. Maybe that's the show's message. Let's continue. Anyhow, Elena's being weird. She's following Grace around. She goes to the gym. She's talking to her with all her stuff hanging out. And it's just weird. And then finally, at the end of the day, not that same day, but the end of the first episode, Elena is killed. Like, killed, smashed in head, everything. Bloodied, bludgeoned. It's bad. And who comes out as the prime suspect? Grace's husband, Jonathan, who was the doctor of Elena's kid who had cancer, and then they had an affair, and he is the prime suspect. So it's basically this murder mystery where we're trying to figure out if Jonathan killed. Now, I know if you are here and you watch the show, you're like, Quada, why are you telling me this? I already know this. Obviously, this is just for those of you who are just joining us for the first time. Hi, welcome. So anyhow, you go through all of the nuances of this show, and we get to the series finale, and you've given us all the possibilities of other people who it could be. You've given us the kid. The kid knew about the affair, and he has the murder weapon. It could be the kid. You've given us flashbacks, kind of like mental visions of the killing taking place through the mind of Grace. It could be Grace, and it could be some weird like psychosis thing that she snapped, like she saw them together and she snapped and she killed her and she blocked it out. That's a possibility. I thought it could have been Grace's dad, Donald Sutherland. I love Donald Sutherland. Do you love Donald Sutherland? I love him. He's one of those guys that you just love to hate. Like, he just plays bad so good. And that carries. And so even where he's supposed to be like this cuddly grandpa type, he's not. He's Donald Sutherland. And you know that he could completely be capable of maybe not hands-on killing the woman, but like maybe sending his goons to kill her. So I thought that was a possibility. And then it could have been the husband because Elena got knocked up by this guy and cheated on him and with the doctor, and it could have been the husband. Y'all, they went with the person it was accused of, Jonathan. And it was just so disappointing. Not because, yes, you can give us a very simple narrative where it actually is the husband who did it. And the wife is just coming to terms with the fact that she's married this killer. And yes, and it's exploring the idea of how she's blind, how we can be blind to what's wrong with us, even when we can see it in other people. Yeah, that's all well and good. But for good TV content, I mean, let's just be real. Don't give us all of these possibilities of other people. Plant the seeds because it's all a red herring. It's just like one big episode of Scooby-Doo. Everything is a red herring. And so you're giving us all of these little inklings of other people it could be, just to give us the person that was accused of. The person who likely did it anyway, because it's always the person who's the cheater and the liar and all of the other things. So then they went with the Jonathan is psychotic. He is a sociopath. Well, I could see that. And one of the things that I keep questioning, and I'm going to have to do some heavy digging and go back through the archives, is has Hugh Grant ever been emotive on screen? Because as I was watching the show, even before they got the reveal of like he was psychotic, I was like, this man is supposed to be crying and he's not crying. I don't even see any, there's no moisture. Like, did someone forget to buy the fake tears? And so, yeah, then it plays into the idea of like, he's playing emotion, but he can't really produce real emotion. Okay, yeah. But I'm serious, guys. I cannot think of a time that I'm trying to remember. Has there been a time that Hugh Grant has appeared on screen and has cried when he was supposed to? Like in a movie, is he capable of that? I love him. One of my favorite British actors, but it bothered me a lot, not just because of how it worked for the character, but because even in the way that it was performed in the character, it felt like it was something lacking in him and his actual acting repertoire. Now, I'm not an actress by any means, but it just felt that. Nicole Kidman cried all the time. This show, for the ending that we got, this was a really good Lifetime movie, a really good Lifetime movie. If they had given us something more interesting, then it would have been a really good HBO show. But it felt like just a really good Lifetime movie with some really big names on it. The one person on the show who I completely fell in love with is Noma Dumazwini. I know I just butchered her name, but she played the lawyer Hailey Fitzgerald. Oh my gosh, talk about stunning black actress, and it's not about her being black, but she's stunning and black and sophisticated, and it was giving me very much Annalise Keating vibes, and I thought, give me her, make it a show about, give us, a show around her without the people blaming her for things that she's not responsible for that we got with you know, How to Get Away with Murder. Give us that. Oh, I would watch that. Like, give us like seasons where she's fighting to get like one case off or win a case, and then it's like something else. Because evidently she knew when she turned to him at the end and she said, well, you were the stupid idiot who didn't get rid of the murder weapon, even though the murder weapon actually never showed up in court to begin with. So it was really like, it never really shows up. It wasn't the thing. What was the thing is he made the mistake of trying to blame his son. And Mama was like, oh, you are psychotic. You're not about to sit here and accuse my son and get my son thrown into jail. Oh, I'm taking you all the way down. And I kept thinking, but what if the son had, like, what if the flip, which would have been so interesting, is if the son had inherited his father's psychosis. I mean, make him psychotic, make Jonathan psychotic. Like, he killed his sister, he didn't feel anything, he's been cheating on his wife, he didn't feel anything. Give us all of that, but maybe he didn't kill. Maybe it was the son who killed. And then the son's been concocting this, trying to like figure out a way to hide it because he knows he did it, but at the same time he's seeing all this stuff come out about his dad. Then the dad throws him under the bus, and then she comes in to rescue the son, does what she does anyway, only for us to get a bad seed ending, a good son ending at the end. That's an HBO show, and this just did not feel like an HBO. It felt so incomplete. Now, what does any of that have to do with Pretty Little Liars? Well, I will tell you. The reason why this show grabbed me is because years ago, when I was just a too grown woman, too old to be watching Pretty Little Liars, my niece came to visit and she got me hooked on Pretty Little Liars. And Pretty Little Liars is such an interesting show because it's about this girl who goes missing one night at a sleepover. And a year later, her friends are trying to move past her disappearance, and her corpse is found. But then also someone starts to message these girls who were all there the night she was killed, saying basically, I know what you did last summer, and tormenting them about the secrets that only this girl supposedly knew. And it was so intriguing. And the first season of the show laid the groundwork for an unexpected person to be it. We didn't know if the girl was dead, if she was alive, what was the case. We didn't see her except for in flashbacks. And then the person it ended up being was fairly surprising. Even people who had already guessed it in the Tumblr forums and things like that, because I think, like, I don't know, I wasn't big on Reddit at the time, but I was big on Tumblr at the time. Even all of that being said, the first season's whodunit was extremely interesting. And if someone else picks up the mystery and of the game, and there's all these clues for people, and then what starts to happen is obviously people in the writer's room are on the same Tumblrs and the same YouTubes looking at all these fan edits and things like that. And now they're panicking because, oh no, the audience has guessed who we did. But that's what a good mystery does. Like Agatha Christie, if she put clues in there, she put them in there so that people who are really smart and clever could figure it out. But if she wanted it to be the person, the clues matched the person. If it was going to be a person who was not really involved in the plot, and she just introduced, and then at the end, you would be let down because you didn't know who this person was. You hadn't seen them. You knew nothing about them. I'll give you an example. Hopefully by now you have read Murder on the Orient Express, or you've seen one of the adaptations of it. Everybody did it. That was satisfactory because you could kind of see why everyone had a reason to do it, and everybody did it. And it was, the clues were there. The clue for why this one did it, and why this one did it, and why this one did it. And he starts to put it together and say, wait a second, you guys all know each other. You are all in on it. Somewhere in season 3, fans have guessed who the person is, and they obviously make a switch. Now, a couple of things. I am all for diversity of all kinds in media. But the ending that they gave us was, we're going to show you that this person did it. even though, while yes, this person maybe could have done some of the things, there were certain, then you moved away from that and there were certain things that they couldn't have done. And instead of making them like somebody who just worked for that person, you decided to make them the person and give them the storyline that there's some mystery child that was there and disappeared and nobody knew that the child disappeared. And not only did the child disappear, but now the child is trans. And seasons 3 through 5 kind of follow that this person has done it because they're trans. Because they're trans, that's why they did all of this, because they never had a doll to play with, and now they want to play with these girls' lives because they're living dolls for her. That was the stupidest thing I have ever heard of in my life. I was like, there were so many good reasons behind why this person could have done it, and you gave us the stupidest reasons. And then all of the other people who had really good reasons to do it. Then we all knew that one of the people who could have done it was Fitz. Fitz could have done it, and he had a really good reason to do it, and they kind of had really good plot lines of why he was doing it. Oh, well, everyone is so in love with Fitz and Arya, so we got to erase that, and we can't do that because if he's playing Arya, it's going to crush them. So it's a mystery. Let her be crushed. Shove it over it. Then the final big bad. Time jump in the future. All of the character arcs that have the characters have built up. I mean, worse than Game of Thrones, guys. We're just going to throw away all the hard work, all the growth these young ladies have done to get where they are in life. We're going to time skip past their graduation date. We're going to time skip a year after where they would have graduated from college, and they're all super uber successful or what have you, which is not real life. And we're going to give you the ultimate killer who was not in any of the storylines, who you weren't introduced to, who you would not have a single clue until the 2-part finale that this person even existed. Like, no. Go back and give us one of the other killers that we all guessed along the way that it should have been, to give your audience some satisfaction. And it's not about just pleasing the audience. It's about a cohesive narrative. So going back to The Undoing, if we're saying that the theme is how you can't see what's in front of you sometimes, then yes, the narrative is cohesive. And yes, the likelihood is that Jonathan is the suspect and is the murderer, and it's his semen was on the scene and his footprints and everything. DNA is all over that place, so it has to be him. But give us, you planted seeds, you planted red herrings for all these other people. Why not, since she put them in there and the narrative would still work, why not give us that? You could have, the narrative of her not seeing what was in front of her still could have been she killed Elena. Especially if upon seeing her husband in the throes of passion with Elena during her nightly walk, she sees her husband walk to Elena's studio. She follows him and she sees them passionately making love, and she snaps. It's still the husband undid he undid the thing, and then caused this brilliant woman who had life going for her so well to snap, and their whole family has fallen apart. Like, tragic, yes, but juicy, yes. Narrative, it works. So shows have just got to stop doing this. Like, stop dressing up a mystery and stringing fans along, and then what we get doesn't add up to the clues. Is every clue going to lead? No, some clues are going to lead to a dead end. Hence why, if you were a fan of Pretty Little Liars between seasons 2 and season, what was it, like 3 or 4, you guessed Ren at one time, you thought that Fitz did it at one time, you thought Cece did it at one time, you thought it was still Mona at one time, you thought it was Allison at one time. Like, you had all of these, you don't, heck, for a little while, it could have been Mike. There were so many people it could have been. Heck, they could have brought back the little girl who was having the affair with Arya's daddy. I can't remember her name, but she would have had a reason to kind of do some of this because these girls ruin her life in one sense. Like, there were so many people you could have given us and you didn't do that. And if you leave these seeds in here to take audiences and fans in different directions, it's like, it would be like getting one of those paper mazes, and you know, if you've ever done one of those paper mazes and you sometimes you cheat and you put your pencil at the end and you follow it back in reverse to figure it out. It's like you have all of these different pathways. One of them's got to lead to the end. Stop giving, in the case of Pretty Little Liars, an ending that doesn't match any of the pathways at all. It just suddenly appears like there's just a gaping hole. Oh no, it didn't go all this way. They just went around. They just went on the outside. They didn't go through the maze at all. Sorry. You know, or in the case of The Undoing, taking the straightforward path when there's so much more interesting things that you could have done with these characters that were so good and well acted. And then some of them weren't even used. You spent all of this interesting time with, like, Edgar Ramirez, who played the detective, Detective Mendoza, and then you didn't do anything really interesting with him other than say that, you know, show that cops were sometimes a little seedy and shortcuts, and yeah, or you used the best friend, okay, yeah, just so that she could, like, you know, flip on her husband, or Fernando's handsome self. You didn't even do anything interesting with him. It's like all these good actors were there and you didn't do anything interesting with them. So it was a little disappointing. I mean, it was still a very well acted show. So for that, like I said, I can't completely knock it. I'm not disappointed that I watched it. It's just a little bit of a letdown. All right, so that is my rant about mysteries. If you were in the process of filming a mystery thriller for us, because I love them, please, please, please give us the juicy things where we can have theories and imagine, and then give us an exciting payoff. Please, 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 and thank you. All right, guys, so that is all for this video, this very lengthy review of The Undoing / talk about Pretty Little Liars / just overall rants. Let me know down below in the comments, what are some of your favorite mystery thriller shows? Are there any that you recommend I watch? And until next time, guys, do me a favor. Before you go, hit the subscribe and hit the like, and I will see you later. Toodles!